fact that my streams start being interrupted again, my broadcasts or whatever. Anyway, like I was saying before, I believe I was interrupted. This is going to be the official Bengal. This is going to be the Siberian, and I believe this is going to be the not the Indo-Chinese, but Indo-Chinese being like the kind of tiger. The Indo. I was just calling it the Indo, but the Indo-Sea. But I forget what model tank this is going to be. But what ended up happening was this ended up being a prototype, just an experimental, because I couldn't just... These tanks were so goddamn awful after the update to the physics that when I started making these things were firing at a greater distance, like almost like where that tank is. But it was firing like way over and down, so almost like an artillery tank. And these guys were capable of going underwater. So I just swapped over from these guys, and you know, these are the new Bengals. These are all the new Bengal tanks. Bengal referring to, like, you know, the tiger being the most populated tiger breed that there is currently. It's the Bengal tiger, and the Siberian tiger is the largest kind of tiger. So that's essentially why I named the heavy tanks all Siberians. I hope the stream doesn't cut out, but because I want to finish like a little bit more of this tank museum, and then I'll cut it off. You know, because a long night of me talking about how much I've built in Minecraft compared to other people, and how much I've beaten people in wars, and then I talk about Hitler for a little bit. It just boosts my popularity for the channel, doesn't it? It doesn't. It really doesn't, though. I'm just tired and feel like making a video. I'm still like uploading all that Resident Evil shit. I'm still trying to like mix it up and make episodes of that shit. Because there's just all kinds of problems going on with the PlayStation save system, the share system and whatnot. But it's fine. Anyway, here's the OTEP. It's the same model of OTEP that I made back in the day. Only this is Robert's OTEP. This is the one I gave him through Lend-Lease. This is during the Hedgerow War, which you guys will get to hear plenty about during the fucking documentary. And a fun thing about all my tanks in this tank museum, before I just get on Robert's case, is that all my tanks in my tank museum have a little description, armor level, gun, crew, you know, battles it was used in and whatnot. Pretty neat stuff. And I was hoping that more people would have this kind of like format, but people really just don't give a shit. People don't want to sit here and read my fucking descriptions of my bullshit tanks and whatnot. But yeah, here's all Robert's shit. Here's the first tank I ever gave him, and he barely used it. Here's his. This is like a dumbed down version of his tank, but it was like way big. It was way taller. It had like way bigger side skirts. But here's like one of his first tanks I knocked the shit out of. And here's a scary one. Here's like the one that you saw, like that was pretty similar to the one in my old world. Not my old world, my new world now. But it was called the Comet. And it was scary as fuck to fight because it had like a 175 block range when my Bengal 34s only had like about 150 and 160 to max. Before my 85 upgrade, where the 85 shot about like 200, were pretty even at that point. But the Comet was a pretty neat fight. You're gonna see a lot of those damn things in my little documentary, because that was one of the most widely used tanks he's ever used. Here was an experimental model. I called it the Cockroach, but I think he called it something else, like the Carnarvon or some shit like that. But I commonly called it the Roach because it was just so fucking big, and I think he's gonna have more armor than this, like way more armor. And once again, I might have downsized it a little bit, but yeah, it was like a terrifying thing to see. Like he was gonna make something like this, and then he just never went through with it. I don't blame him. I would never like force myself to make this, or even my worst enemies. Then we had the Black Prince. This was like the king of all models, and it's not even like a proper Black Prince. It's actually a lot bigger than this model tank. I'm gonna update that soon because I got pictures of the old tank battles. Like I still have one preserved one in my old world on the 360, but that's a basic like look of how the fucking Black Prince looked. It can fire like 375 blocks out, and that made me shit my pants at the time because I had never like heard of that before. It was unheard of. Like it drove me wild. So that's why I made this fucking tank. I call it the Hiri 8. It's pretty fucking awesome. Like we never fought on the battlefield, which just really sucks. But yeah, it was just a couple of unique builds that we just trying to outrange each other into a shitty fucking like not really game breaking, but fucking TNT busting crash. Not crash. I always call it a crash. It's the Great Tank Crash of like 2014 or some shit. But yeah. Before the fucking update happened and all the tanks crashed out of the fucking air, out of the fucking sky. These were like the height of the fucking battlefield. Like this tank right here was like the fucking apex predator. It fired about 400 blocks out, and it was super low, so his trajectory couldn't really hit me. It was just, you know, an evolutionary, like, strike against each other. It's like, hey, you have a tank with longer range, and it's hard to produce. I'm gonna make a tank that's even longer range, but it's easy to produce. It's like, oh, you're gonna do that? I'm gonna build a super impossible tank to build that's even more range, even more ridiculous. So, that's how a lot of the fighting went until the tank crash happened. You can clearly see, like, I have have a prototype model that I left behind after the war. I saved it, so that's gonna go right here. This is the little spot where the prototype final's gonna go. But yeah, it's pretty amazing the fact that we fought for like fucking 4 years, dude. It's ridiculous. But a lot of those tank models are preserved, and some of those guns even ended up in my Bengal tank line, which is fucking astonishing because his tech was so good that it lasted. Mine like changed. It had to change over time. And I guess that's the advantage behind my armed forces, they always change. Have some kind of change. But, anyway. Yeah, he commonly had, like, a British naming system. Like, I named my tank, my first, like, mass-produced tank, the OTEP, because I was into the band. The Dragoon was named after the Colt Dragoon, because it was being the Wild West. This is the B-95, straight up just a T-95 tank destroyer ripoff, like the siege gun ripoff. B-34, T-34, B-34-85, T-34-85. The Hiri was based off of the IS-2. This is the Hiri 2 also, just for like mention. You know, it's got the forward gun, just like the IS, but it's not armored at all. It's pretty lightly armored, actually. It's just that nobody could ever hit it. It had such a great ranged gun that the armor wasn't really much of an issue. This is the Hiri 3, though. This is when like his guns started to get really advanced, and I was worried about armor. So this thing's got flat armor, but like I said, if you have like any kind of slab, whether it be cobblestone or like wood, the slab gets blown off, but not anything beneath the slab or the slabs around it, so it's pretty unique. It actually helps to the armor. And the Hiri 3 was pretty awesome for the time in terms of armor before that fucking Black Fronts came out. Fuck. And I had to resort to the Hiri 8, which, you know, it's a huge jump from 2 to 3 to 8, but there must have been like 10 or 12 Hiris in my tank lines, so I just never got around to making every single one, but you get to see the main 3 that were feared amongst the tank community in Minecraft, my small tank community anyway. Here's the B-26 Bengal. Like I said, I named this after myself because I'm a huge egotistical maniac. Here's the Eiko, named after my older sister. The Han tank was actually named after Juri Han. Juri Han was my favorite character in Street Fighter, Taekwondo expert. This is the Han Type 2, Type 10. This was based more or less off of like modern tanks, like the STA one, the STB one. The Japanese tank that I think that was mass-produced in the 70s or the 80s, I forget which. All these are, you know, Strip Hago, Chiha, and Chinu. They're straight up just Japanese army names back in World War II. Bengal, you get the idea. And then Siberian. So you can see how my tastes have changed over the years. And here's this pathetic, teeny tiny little tank that a Morgan Rothman made back in the day when he thought he could make tanks. And by the way, it's a good tank design. He just had no fucking gun on it. Had this measly little thing that fired little fire charges, and I had guns that I had this motherfucking thing. This blew him away. The saddest little thing in the world. But I give this tank chassis away to people who are interested in making tanks. I give one away that has this measly little thing because it has its place in the battlefield, and then I give one away with a smaller gun, like the squishy gun, the blobby gun that Bengal showed you on the battleship. And I think after this stream, I'm gonna make another world and show you different types of guns you can use in your tanks and your own tank chassis. So stay tuned. I'm going to make a special video dedicated to just making tank chassis just for you guys. So peace out, and if you're interested in getting in the packs, or you want to make your own tanks and vehicles and shit and compare them to other people and maybe even fight them in training exercises, we're definitely up for that. Just gotta make a time, a date, and a place for like us and our different members and shit, and see where it goes. So I'll make that stream, in just a few minutes. I just need to refresh my my beverage, and you get into the refreshment. But I'll show you how to make this vehicle and a few others. I can show you how to make a moving tank that's based off another guy's video, similar to Cube Hamster, but I prefer things that shoot. I don't prefer things that take 4 hours to make that walk and get blown up by one of these stationary tanks than, anything else. So stay tuned for that. Peace. Peace, peace, peace. Okay.